have been the architects, the mathematicians, the scientists, the producers,
the mariners
songwriters.
Too, by the way. I was like, we were really the first, and Asiatic people, the first seafaring people. A lot of people don't know that.
Seafaring people all over the globe. Columbus did not discover America, Andra.
They came. Has anybody read that
they
book?
Came
They came
before Columbus.
Come
yes,
on,
yes,
come
yes,
on.
yes.
You better talk about the Olmec people.
Yes. Welcome, Andra. It is such a pleasure to see you again.
Likewise. It's so good to see you. So good to be doing this with you. This makes me so happy.
Oh, ditto back at you. And it is June Black Music Month. We are celebrating you as a creative artist, as well as people whom you've admired that have helped you to shape your career. And we're going to talk about your new music as well, which I am entrenched in. It is beautiful. I told you before. When I first heard it, I was like, who upset you?
Really?
What? But it is an exquisite piece of work.
Thank you
and
so much.
I know many people, myself included, have been waiting 9 years. I put you in the Maxwell, Sade, D'Angelo category.
I'm just saying.
I was like, you're in good company. I was like, hey, girl, come on. But you've been busy all these years. Yes. I know many of your fans, your admirers, have been like, girl, it's 9 years.
Yeah, what happened?
Okay, we need you to give us some music because you've obviously been using your creative energies in other directions. So we've got a Grammy, we got a Golden Globe Award, we got an Oscar nomination for your work with Lee Daniels in the United States versus Billie Holiday. And you know what's interesting? Listening to the new album, distinctly your voice, clearly, but I felt some Billie Holiday energy in some of your intonations and, you know.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
You agree?
No, absolutely. Well, I also would like to say we're celebrating you, Black Music Month, too, by the way, who pioneered and
You're kind.
helped us to have Black Music Month. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have to honor you as well.
I appreciate
but
it.
yes, you know, speaking of that, Billie Holiday, I mean, she is, you know, one of, if not my foremost inspiration musically. And I think there was something about her ownership of her voice that was really powerful for me. It was like, before I would listen to singers who I absolutely loved, Whitney and Aretha, and try to sound like them and do all the things they did. And for the first time with Billie, hearing her sing, I was introduced to her when I was like 11, and hearing her sing, she had such an interesting tone. She had the way she chose to phrase things, the where she chose to place her voice, how she chose to approach a song. She always said she never sang a song the same twice ever, which was true. And it was amazing because at the time, they kind of gave her like the throwaway songs. You know, she just turned them into these amazing standards that we love today. But there was something she used to say, where she said, you know, my voice doesn't do too much. It just goes up a little bit, it comes down a little bit, but it's mine. And I think that was sort of the first idea that I had about like ownership of your own gifts and yourself. And because I was like, yeah, I keep trying to make my voice sound like this person or this person. And it's one thing to be inspired, but to be dissatisfied kind of with what it is you have. So she really helped me not to want to sound like her, but to just want to sound like me and accept me. And so there's definitely, and obviously playing her absolutely had an impact on my voice. She had an impact on my life, you know, decisions I was making, a lot of things. And it was such an honor. I loved being Billie Holiday. I loved playing her. It was amazing.
A lot of people focus on the sorrow, the addiction, instead of focusing on the fact that she was a pioneer, that she was a trailblazer when it came, especially with Strange Fruit.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
That she was taking very strong stands at a time that were not popular, and she was punished for it.
Yeah.
She was really an advocate for civil rights.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's interesting that you say that too, that people don't know her in that way. It's you know, I don't penalize people for that, right? You know what I mean? With her in particular, because the Federal Bureau of Narcotics and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that was the goal. The goal was to eradicate her legacy and her memory, period. But because she was so famous, because she was so loved, she was so huge globally, you know, she was a superstar, they couldn't do that. So it was like, let's change the narrative. Like the fact that the narrative was her life was a tragedy. It was all just sadness, and all she did, she was a drug addict. She could never kick it. That's what ruined her life. That's what took her. And then she sung jazz music, and that was it. It's just she sung jazz and she was an addict. That was by design. The fact that we don't know her as a godmother of the neo-civil rights movement, right, as we know it, between her singing Strange Fruit, the death of Emmett Till, and Marshall and his work, that was what sort of reinvigorated the civil rights movement. And so the fact that we don't know her in that way is, or that we haven't known her in that way, is a testament to how diligent that campaign against her was, how diligent the campaign against Black artists was with the war on drugs. And so I am grateful to be a part of, for me, with this movie, it was vindicating, you know what I mean, her legacy. Because the fact that it still came out eventually, you know, after all of this time, that, hey, she was singing Strange Fruit, she was fighting for civil rights, she was fighting against lynching and racial terror in America. It still found its way to the light, which is really quite a blessing, and is a testament to, I believe, God's purpose for her life and her power as an artist and as a Black woman at that time. So it's very true. You're right. It's more people should know her this way.
I grew up listening to my favorite album, Lady in Satin.
Yes, I love that album.
Lady in
It's
Satin.
so good, y'all.
Yes, absolutely.
That's where her voice, in my opinion, was so beautiful because it was so broken in a really great way. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So these 9 years, you haven't been sitting home knitting, but maybe you
Which
have
would've
done a
been
little
nice,
bit, which is
you know what I
right,
mean?
fine. There's nothing wrong
should
with
learn
knitting.
how to do it.
Right, it's still creativity involved, and it's a very serene activity.
Yes.
But you have been exercising your creativity in other areas, as we just mentioned with the film. But were you writing all along? Were you thinking about?
So we actually started the album at the beginning of 2017. So we've kind of gone in and out. I think I just realized with myself, there's only so much I can do. I can do a lot of things at the same time, but when it came to acting, I really actually, turning into a different person, I had to compartmentalize more than I was used to doing in my life. In the sense that, you know, I had to kind of turn everything off and give myself completely to this project. And but we started the album in 2017, the beginning. So we actually have been working on this record for quite a long time. You guys, it hasn't been 9 years with nothing. We've been working on the record for quite a long time. So I went off and did Billy, and then I came back and started working on the music again.
So do you listen to music while you're other artists? And
oh, yeah.
Have you heard any that really inspired or motivated you
during
absolutely. This period of time?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 100%. I think in the very, very beginning for me, it was like Kendrick Lamar. You know what I mean? I was just like, I just love the balance of the balance of the worlds, you know what I mean, that he lives in. I was inspired also by Masego's album as well, too. I love that project. Jasmine Sullivan's record, Robert Glasper. And I love female singers and female voices. So I'm always inspired by Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, Lauryn Hill, you know what I mean? And so I would say every single one of them.
A lot of people are like, there's no good music. There's not good music. I mean, and right, you just rattled off about 20 people.
Right, and that was the short list. You
right,
know
okay. Okay, the short list. And clearly all of those artists are making extraordinary music. But in between making movies and making the new album, you also did a Super Bowl.
Yes, we did.
Seen by most of planet Earth. What was that experience like for you?
Wow, terrifying. No, no, it was scary. I'm not gonna lie. I got the call about the Super Bowl from my manager Phylicia about it in November of last year. And I told her, I was like, girl, I've been nervous since November. Like, that cannot be good for your gut. Like, that can't be good for your anxiety.
No.
Like, my intestines are like, why are we so on edge? I don't know. Like, but I just remember the first time asking years ago about singing Lift Every Voice and Sing. And I think the no that it was met with was so like, it was almost like a why would we ever do that no? You know what I mean? And I just didn't like that feeling. So I stopped singing it years ago, and I did say I don't want to do this again until I can sing Lift Every Voice and Sing. And so my team was great. They all knew that. But then I get a call from my one of my managers, Phylicia, and she says they want you to do the anthem at the Super Bowl. And right before, listen, I was still gonna say no. Y'all, that no was locked and loaded. I was like, happily no. You know what I mean? But right before I could be like, it was like, it's Lift Every Voice and Sing. I was like, what? I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Which was crazy because I was like, wow, like God is amazing to me because The fact that it was like, all right, I'm not going to do it again until I can sing that song. And then when we finally get the green light to sing that song, it's at the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's crazy. So I was so grateful. Like, it was wonderful.
It was amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Shout out to my brother, Adam Blackstone, who's also an amazing musician who inspires me.
Adam from the Delaware Valley, Philadelphia, New Jersey, Willingboro. Super talented.
I do want to ask you also, since we're talking about Black Music Month and we are big upping all these amazing artists, and we're talking about Adam, who always gives a platform to other artists, you have also given an amazing platform to us, which we are so grateful for. So I was wondering if you could kind of share the story about how the inception of Black Music Month, how you were able to make this happen.
Well, I have to give credit to my co-creators, Kenny Gamble. We were a couple at the time, 45 years ago.
Wow.
We had 2 children, and I told him recently, we actually had 3 physical human beings.
Right.
But I told him that Black Music Month is like our 4th child. It was Gamble's idea, and because I was his woman, I'm like supporting my man.
Right.
I was on the radio and television. I was like, hey, roll up the sleeves and make it happen, and let's let people know that here's a period of time where we highlight the contributions of people like yourself, like the camera people, the makeup artists, the hairstylists, the managers, any and everybody who is perpetuating and elevating Black music. So 1978, Gamble hosted a meeting in La Costa, not far from where you grew up in San Diego.
Yes, exactly.
In Carlsbad.
Shout out 619.
Yes.
All the area codes, but you know.
Yeah, 619 is the original. And he and Berry Gordy, Al Bell from Stax Records, Dick Griffey, they all got together. And they were like, we need to galvanize our industry, because there were silos. People doing, Berry Gordy was doing his thing in Detroit. Solar Records, Dick Griffey was doing his thing in L.A. Stax Records in Memphis, and Gamble and Huff and Tom Bell in Philadelphia. So Gamble was like, look, we're stronger together. And if we come together, we can get better deals for distribution. We can just be more powerful because we are creating the music that is the flavor. And so 1979, June 7th, President Jimmy Carter, at the encouragement of the Black Music Association, which Gamble founded, hosted an event for about 200 people from different parts of the industry, like a picnic environment on the South Lawn. And Jimmy Carter got up and made a very eloquent speech on behalf of the Black Music Association, saying, this is our music. And I got a call one day saying, the congressman is about to introduce the legislation. And I was in my office and I was like, what? And then they called me back several hours later and said, it is passed. And that moment there, the little girl from the Bronx and Harlem, I was like, wait, what?
She did that.
And I called Gamble immediately, because we were separated at that point, but I called him and I said, it passed. So it felt very victorious, but not just for me. I mean, the work, the time and energy that I put into making it happen, but for our industry, for our artists, for our community, and for all people, because I want everybody to celebrate the majesty and the beauty and the potency of what you do, of our music, of what all those artists that you mentioned and the ones whose names we are not mentioning,
for sure,
who have contributed past, current, this generation, and the folks who are waiting for their turn to come up and express their creativity in whatever it is. Photography, like I said, styling, management, record company executives, all of those people are who we highlight in this month and celebrate. However, the celebration does not stop the end of June. It continues. It's a 365. Forever the Influence, which is what Amazon Music, the tagline for not just Black Music Month, but moving forward. So Black music and the various genres, I had referenced earlier some of them. First of all, I know you have a lot of influences, but
for sure.
Tell me some of those influences.
Oh, goodness. I love all the women of jazz. Ella Fitzgerald, oh my gosh, Carmen McRae.
McRae.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my God.
And also, Dinah Washington, too. I used to love, they called her Queen of the Blues.
She was huge.
Huge. So
Quincy
huge.
Jones did a lot of her arrangements.
Yes.
He worked with her.
Swingin' Miss D is one of my favorite records.
Okay.
And he's who did that
right.
arrangement. Yeah, I love so much. So Lena Horne, you know.
Shirley Horn.
Shirley Horn. Oh my God.
Love
Oh,
Shirley Horn. Here's
you
to
better-
Life.
Right. Yes. Oh my God.
Here's
I
to
love.
Life. That's one of my favorites of hers.
So that, I mean, on to Nina Simone, to Aretha, Shaka Khan, you know, I feel like, I mean, Shaka Khan gets a lot of credit, but not as much as I feel like she should be getting. You know what I mean? The Shakas, the Dions, like these were just bona fide pop and rock stars. These are genre-bending women at a time when it was like, just be a black woman and do this, do not genre bend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love Michael Jackson. I also love Frankie Lyman, who often...
And the Teenagers.
Yes, and the Teenagers. Yeah. Ooh-ah, ooh-ah, ooh-ah.
Why do fools fall in love?
Why do fools fall in love?
Good question.
And it's one of those artists, you know, Chuck Berry, Frankie Lyman, that I'm like, oh, it's not lost on me that I'm like, oh wow, we got Michael because of them. And then we have this whole, an era of artists that we're still in right now because of Michael and because of the Jackson 5 and because, you know, Prince, you know, like,
Prince.
So I just, there are a lot. Like I think about that, the genesis of other artists a lot, like how inspiration works, you know, it's this beautifully contagious, infectious thing. And then we see, you know, obviously that permeates every musical genre and taste around the world. So how do you see, you know, sort of black erasure in music and culture?
In music, historically, everywhere, it's like we didn't exist and like we did not contribute. And you and I know better.
Right.
Because we did in a massive way.
Right.
So I use my platforms, I use my voice to say, hold up, wait a minute, let me explain something here. Egypt is in Africa.
Hey, here we go.
They still don't know how they built the pyramids, but we
Absolutely.
do know that it was black people who built those pyramids, and they still cannot, with all the science, all that, they still can't explain.
Right.
So the erasure of the contribution of black people in the world is nothing new, but we have been the architects, the mathematicians, the scientists, the producers,
the mariners
songwriters.
too, by the way. I was like, we were really the first, and Asiatic people, the first seafaring people. A lot of people don't know that. Yes.
Seafaring people all over the globe. Columbus did not discover America,
Hey,
Andra.
they came. Has anybody read
Yeah,
that
they
book?
came
They came
before
before
Columbus.
Come
Yes,
on,
yes,
come
yes,
on.
yes, yes,
You better
yes.
talk about the Olmec
Yes,
people.
yes. And so we have an obligation, because
Yes.
we have voices that
Yes.
are heard by many and people pay attention, to give the history, to share and to say, no, we were here, we are here, and we're going to remain here, and we are forever the influence.
You know, oftentimes black music and black culture, there's a rebellion, you know what I mean, that I think when you think about graffiti, when you think about jazz. Like jazz is, you only drink wine and do sophisticated things to jazz now, but at the time, back in the day, that was you weren't supposed to touch that music, you know. So I think thriving, celebration, I think they're because it's like we've had to overcome so much and thrive in that, then everything feels very soul driven, very guttural driven, very, and it's hard. That's contagious. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Of course you want to, that's feeling, you know what I mean? It's like why people pinch themselves to feel something. I think our culture and our music do the same thing.
I call it bone marrow.
There you go. That's
It's
what it is.
bone
That's exactly
marrow.
what it is.
It's
Yeah.
bone marrow.
Yes.
Well, we want to take a look at one of your performances, and
Oh,
you
gosh.
cited Nina Simone as one
Yeah.
of your influences.
yes.
So let's take a look.
Southern tree, bear strange fruit.
Go ahead, Charles. I'm all gonna drop some Erica in there. I love you some Erica.
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh. We just watched a lovely performance
Thank
of
you.
your interpretation of Nina Simone's Mississippi Goddamn. Such a relevant song
Absolutely, still.
right now.
Still,
And she
yeah.
did that song in the 60s. But I love your interpretation
Thank
of
you
it.
so much. Mine and Robert Glasper's. It was actually for her documentary, What Happened, Miss Simone. Originally.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. All right, so the new album, we were talking about it earlier.
Yes.
But I think I told you when we first talked about the album, I was like, girl, who hurt you? What happened? Who is this? Who is this
Well,
villain?
a combination of people, including myself. I'm
Okay,
like,
right, because
good
we
job.
are complicit in our
girl,
own
I'm
down.
telling you.
Yeah,
Right.
sometimes.
I'm
for
like,
sure.
okay, some of those decisions, you should have made better ones.
But
Fine,
what I
fine.
love about the album is that, you start, it's like you're expressing the discontent and the trauma and the drama, but at the end, it's God.
Yeah.
It's salvation.
Absolutely.
It's awareness. It's being still.
Absolutely, yes.
And serenity and peace.
Yes.
That's what I got.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
And understanding that, like even one of the songs are called Still, and it's understanding that being still does not always mean being stuck. You know what I mean? And I think when we change our perspective on it, then we can really take advantage of what that space and that time and that season of stillness and the necessity, you know what I mean, of stillness in our lives. Because for me, it was actually like I'd be praying and doing devotion every day, and then, oh my God, I'm still, heartbroken, or I'm still stuck on this thing, or I'm still not doing what I need to do over here. I'm still, and it was just, but as you continue to sow and as you continue to make the practice, it's like working out, you know what I mean? It's like
You get to see
you're like,
results.
you're like, I'm doing the same thing, and then eventually you're like, oh wow, things are changing. I'm seeing the results. It's the same thing in the spirit and mentally and emotionally, I believe. And when you make that practice and build that familiarity, I went literally from this transition of feeling stuck still to actually just being still and like understanding stillness and the power. And that's what Cherith, the name on the album, represents. It means to cut away, or this place of isolation. And it's a place that God brought the prophet Elijah to. He had nothing, but God provided for him completely in this space. There was nothing he had to offer, nothing. He just was filled up in this place, still settled in this place, and everything he needed was there. And so I'm realizing, like, whoa, that place is as necessary as the mountaintop. You know what I mean? And so that I have to get there to that place on this record to survive. You know what I mean? And go through the next cycle, because I believe life is cyclical in that way.
Well, it sounds like you are on your path of enlightenment,
Thank you.
acknowledgement, God very much in the core of your beliefs and the execution of your experience. And I think that is wonderful. What's like you're doing press, you're out, you're performing. Tell us.
That's what we're doing
what's
right
the
now.
agenda?
We're definitely gonna do a music video sometime. Listen, whoever's back there watching this right now is probably so annoyed with me because like, when are we gonna get the music video? I'm like, I don't know. Whenever the Spirit speaks and the inspiration is, I don't know. But we're definitely continuing to just sort of, just kind of craft sort of the art, surrounding the project, like these type of deliverables, like the things that, how we want people to perceive this visually as well, artistically, And we do have a movie coming out this year too, August.
What's the movie?
It's The Deliverance. It's another one Lee and I did together, which is the most incredible cast. It's myself, Glenn Close, Monique, Ingenue Ellis, Kayla McLaughlin, Demi Singleton, Anthony Jenkins. That comes out August. I don't know if I'm supposed to say the date.
No, don't
it's
say
supposed to
it.
come
Soon
in fall.
come.
Yeah, come out soon. Yeah, exactly.
come,
Soon
in the
come.
words of
In
Jamaicans.
fall, and then also Exhibiting Forgiveness. That movie comes out in the fall as well too.
My
So
goodness.
excited, very excited. Yeah.
Andra Day, you are everything, and everything is you, to
Oh,
quote
same.
the great Linda Creed and Tom Bell.
Same.
Seriously, you've given us thus far an incredible body of work, and there is more to come.
Thank you.
I am so enthralled with the album and with you as an artist, because you're an artist that you pay homage to what has happened before,
Yeah.
and you are even lifting up and praising now other artists, your generation of artists, and inspiring the next to come.
Because they're great.
Blessings.
I'm like, they're great. They deserve it. For sure.
And happy Black Music Month.
Thank you. Happy Black Music Month to you, too.
Gracias,
Our
gracias.
founder here. Hello.
It has been a joy talking with you.
Before we go here, too, I also wanted to ask you, just because you have been such a pioneer, you know what I mean? You also pay, you love and pay homage to the greats who came before us, who set the stage, the artists of now you support and you love. So my question to you is, how do we continue to push Black music forward into the future?
We support artists like yourself. We go hear
like
live
that.
music. Yes, no, it's how you make a living, and it's your passion. We read to our children.
Yeah.
We listen to what they're listening to. We share with them music of our choice and that we're inspired by. We become members of museums like the National Museum of African American Music in Nashville, or organizations, grassroots organizations that are supporting music endeavors. There's so many different ways to celebrate, but it's forever influenced. Black music is not going away after the end of June. So I would say to people, celebrate it every day. Let the artists that you love, let them know. Follow them on social media.
Yes.
Buy their merch. Just show them love,
Yeah.
because sometimes it can be isolating and lonely for artists, especially people don't, there's a great Nikki Giovanni poem, I don't know if you've ever heard it, for Aretha Franklin. And she talks about, you got to hear it, because she talks about, people don't understand that Aretha's away from her family. She's on the road singing for us, but you don't know what she's endured and had to suffer for her art, for us. And so more empathy and support and nurturing of artists.
I love that, yeah.
And people who are involved in the elevation and the culture of Black music. So that's what I'd like people to do on the regular. And I love going to hear live music. There's nothing like it.
Yes, for sure.
Music is such a spiritual gift.
Yes.
It is such a nurturing energy, and Black music in particular. I love all kind of music. I will say this, I listen to all kind, but I am very keen and very entrenched in Black music and Black culture. So I say to people, elevate it, love it,
That's beautiful.
appreciate it, and forever the influence, Black music.
That part.
Drop the mic.
I drop it.
That's a wrap.
Love it.
Celebrating Black Music Month, Forever the Influence, with Amazon Music.